Chaitanya Manas. Lovely as jasmine and blue lotus, of surpassing strength, repositories of wisdom, endowed with natural grace, excellent bowmen, hymned by the Vedas, and lovers of the cow and the Brahmanas, who appeared in the form of mortal men through their own Maya, deluding potency, as the two noble scions of Raghu, the armors of true religion, friendly to all and journeying in quest for Sita, may they both grant us devotion. Blessed are those pious souls who ceaselessly quaff the nectar of Sri Rama's name, churned out of the ocean of the Vedas, which completely destroys the sins of the Kali age and knows no decay, which shines ever bright in the most beautiful moon-like mouth of the glorious Shambhu, Lord Shiva, a palatable remedy for the disease of transmigration and the very life of Sita, Janaka's daughter. Why not reside in Kashi, the modern Varanasi, the abode of Shambhu and Bhavani, goddess Parvati, knowing it to be the birthplace of Mukti, final beatitude, the mine of spiritual wisdom and the destroyer of sins? O stupid mind, how is it that you do not worship him who drank off the deadly venom churned out of the ocean of milk, in the very presence of which was burning all the host of gods? Who else is so merciful as Lord Shankara? The Lord of Raghus proceeded still further and approached the Rishyamukha hill. There dwelt Sugriva, a monkey chief, with his counselors. When he saw the two brothers, the very embodiments of immeasurable strength, he was exceedingly alarmed and said to one of his ministers, "Listen, Hanuman, these two men are repositories of strength and beauty, disguised as a Brahmana student. Go and see them, and perceiving their intention in your mind, inform me accordingly by means of signs. If they have been dispatched by the malicious Vali, I must leave this hill and flee away at once." Taking the form of a Brahmana, the monkey Hanuman went up to the two brothers and bowing his head accosted them thus: "Who are you heroes, one of dark hue, the other fair, that roam the woods disguised as Kshatriyas? Treading the hard ground with your tender feet, wherefore are you wandering in the forest, my masters? Though possessed of delicate, charming, and beautiful limbs, how is it that you have exposed yourself to the scorching sun and stormy wind of these wild regions? Do you count in the Trinity, Brahma, Vishnu, and Shiva, the creator, preserver, and destroyer of the three worlds? Or are you the twin divine sages Nara and Narayana? Or are you the Lord of all the spheres, the prime cause of the world, and manifested in human form to bridge the ocean of mundane existence and relieve the burden of the earth? We are sons of King Dasharatha, the Lord of Kosala, and have come to the forest in obedience to our father's command. We two brothers are called by the names of Rama and Lakshmana. We had with us a pretty and delicate girl, the daughter of King Videha, who has been carried away by some demon here. It is in quest of her that we are moving about, O holy Brahmana. We have furnished you with our account in some detail. Now tell us your story in a comprehensive manner, O good Brahmana." Now Hanuman recognized his Lord, and falling to the ground, clasped his feet. The joy was more than could be described. A thrill ran through his body, and no words came to his lips as he gazed on the lovely style of their dress. Then recovering himself, he sang his praises, and was glad at heart to have found his master. "It was quite in the fitness of things that I questioned my lord. But how is it that you ask me like a mortal? I have been roving in error under the spell of your Maya, deluding potency. It was for this reason that I failed to recognize my lord. In the first place, I am a dull-witted and deluded, wicked in heart and ignorant. To crown all, my master, who are a befriender of the humble and are no other than the Almighty Lord yourself, had forgotten me. Although, my lord, I have many faults, let not the servant be cast into oblivion by the master. The jiva, ego, O Lord, is deluded by your Maya, and can be redeemed only by your grace. On top of it, I swear by the hero of Raghu's line, I know neither adoration nor any other means of pleasing you. A servant depends on his master, and a child on his mother, and both remain free from anxiety, for a master needs must take care of his servant. So saying, he fell at the Lord's feet much agitated. His heart was overwhelmed with love, and he manifested his own monkey. The Lord of Raghus then lifted and clasped him to his bosom, and soothed him by wetting him with the tears of his eyes. Listen, O Hanuman, be not depressed at heart. You are twice as dear to me as Lakshmana. Everyone says that I look upon all with the same eye, but a devotee is particularly dear to me, because he too depends on none but me. And he alone, Hanuman, is exclusively devoted to me, who is steadfast in his conviction that he is the servant, and that the as manifested form of the Lord, whole animate and inanimate creation is his master. When Hanuman, the son of the wind god, found his master so terrible to him, he rejoiced at heart and all his agony gone. My lord, on the summit of this hill dwells Sugriva, the chief of the monkeys. He is a servant of yours. Make friends with him, my lord, knowing him to be in affliction rid of all fear. He will have Sita tracked by drafting millions of monkeys in every direction in search of her. Having thus explained to him everything, he lifted both the brothers on his back and took him to the place where Sugriva was. When Sugriva saw Sri Rama, he accounted his birth as highly blessed. He reverently advanced to meet him and bowed his head at his feet, while the Lord of Raghus and his younger brother embraced him in return. The monkey chief pondered thus within himself, will they, good heavens, make friends with me? Then Hanuman related all the circumstances of both the sides, and having installed the sacred fire as a witness, he concluded a firm alliance between Sri Rama and Sugriva. The alliance was thus unreservedly concluded, and Lakshmana narrated all the past history of Sri Rama. Said Sugriva with his eyes full of tears, the daughter of Janaka, the lord of Mithila, my lord, will be surely recovered. On one occasion when I sat here deliberating with all my counselors, I saw her fallen in the enemy's hands, and being borne through the air, loudly wailing, crying, Rama, Rama, ah, my Rama. She dropped her scarf when she saw us. When Sri Rama asked for that, he handed it over to him at once. Sri Rama pressed it to his bosom and grieved much. Said Sugriva, listen, O hero of Raghu's line, sorrow no more and take courage in your heart. I will render service to you in every way, so that Janaka's daughter may come and see you. The ocean of mercy, who was at the time the embodiment of physical strength, rejoiced to hear his ally's words. Tell me, Sugriva, why have you come to stay in the forest? My lord, Vali and myself are two brothers. The affection that existed between us was past all telling. Once upon a time, my lord, the son of the demon Maya, who was known by the name of Mayavi, came to our town, Kishkinda. At dead of night, he called out at the gate of the town. Vali could not brook his enemy's challenge to a bout, and sailed forth to meet him. But when he saw Vali coming, he took to flight. I too had accompanied my brother. The enemy went and entered the cave of a big mountain. Then Vali gave instructions to me. Await my return till a fortnight. If I do not return, then take me as slain. When I had waited there for a month, O slayer of Kathā, a copious stream of blood issued from the cave. I therefore concluded that the demon had slain Vali, and that he would come and kill me too. Accordingly, I blocked them out of the cave with a rock and fled away. When the ministers saw the town without a master, they forced me to accept the throne. Meanwhile, Vali, who had killed the enemy, returned home and saw me installed on the throne. He nursed a grudge against me in his heart. He gave me a most severe beating as he would an enemy, and robbed me of all that I had, including my wife. For fear of him, O gracious hero of Raghu's line, I wandered all over the world in a pitiable condition. A curse prevents him from coming over here, yet I remain ill at ease in mind. When the gracious Lord heard of his devotee's distress, both his long arms started throbbing, thus showing his martial spirit as well as his determination to punish Vali. Listen, Sugriva, I will kill Vali with a single arrow. His life will not be saved even if he takes refuge with Brahma, the creator, or even with Rudra, Lord Shiva. One would incur great sin by the very sight of those who are not distressed to see the distress of a friend. A man should regard his own mountain-like troubles as of no more account than a mere grain of sand, while the troubles of a friend should appear to him like Mount Sumeru, though they may be as trifling as a grain of sand. Those fools who are not of such a temperament presume in vain to make friends with anybody. A friend should restrain his companion from the evil path and lead him on the path of virtue. He should proclaim the latter's good points and screen his faults, should give and take things without any scruple, and serve his friend's interest to the best of his ability, and finding him in distress, love him 100 times more than ever. The Vedas declare these to be the qualities of a noble friend. He, however, who contrives to speak bland words to your face and harms you behind your back, and harbors some evil design in his heart, and whose mind is as tortuous as the movements of a snake, is an unworthy friend, and one had better bid goodbye to such a friend. A stupid servant, a stingy monarch, a bad wife, and a false friend. These four are tormenting like a pike. Relying on my strength, dear friend, grieve no more. I will serve your cause in every way possible, said Sugriva. Listen, O hero of Raghu's race, Vali is possessed of immense strength and is exceedingly staunch in battle. He then showed him Dundubi's bones and the 7 palm trees, which were struck down by the Lord of Raghus without any exertion. When Sugriva witnessed Sri Rama's immeasurable strength, his affection for him grew all the more, and he was now satisfied that he would succeed in killing Vali. He bowed his head at his feet again and again, and was delighted at heart to recognize the Lord. When the light of wisdom dawned on him, he said, My mind, O Lord, has been set at rest by your grace. Renouncing pleasure, prosperity, home, personal glory, and all, I will render service to you. All of these are stumbling blocks on the path to devotion to Sri Rama, yourself. So declare saints given to the worship of your feet. Pairs of opposites such as friend and foe, joy and sorrow, in this world are products of Maya, illusion, and have no reality. Vali is my greatest friend, by whose grace I met you, Rama, the allayer of sorrow. On waking from a dream, when a man comes to know the identity of him with whom he had fought in the dream, he feels abashed. Now, my lord, do me this favor that I may renounce all and worship you night and day. On hearing the words of Sugriva, imbued as they were with dispassion, Sri Rama, who held a bow in his hand, smiled and said, Whatever you have said is all true. My words, O friend, can never be otherwise. Sri Rama, says the same Kaka Bushundi, O Garuda, king of birds, makes us all dance, even as a juggler would make his monkey dance, so declare the Vedas. Taking Sugriva with him, the Lord of Raghus proceeded with a bow and arrow in his hands. Then the Lord of Raghus sent Sugriva, who, strengthened by Sri Rama, thundered under the very nose of Vali. On hearing his roar, Vali sailed forth frantic with fury. His wife, however, clasped his feet with her hands and warned him thus. Listen, my lord, the 2 brothers with whom Sugriva is included in alliance are of unapproachable majesty and might. They are no other than Sri Rama and Lakshmana, the sons of King Dasharatha, the lord of Koshala, who can conquer death himself on the field of battle. Said Vali, Listen, my timid darling, the Lord of Raghus looks upon all with the same eye. Even if he kills me, I will attain his divine abode and have him as my eternal Lord. So saying, he sailed forth in great pride, thinking no more of Sugriva than a blade of grass. The 2 brothers closed with each other. Vali browbeat Sugriva, and striking him with his fist, roared in thundering voice. Sugriva now fled in dismay and returned to Sri Rama. The stroke of his clenched fist had fallen on him as a bolt from heaven. What did I say, O gracious hero of Raghu's line? This is no brother of mine, but death himself. You two brothers are identical in appearance. It was because of this confusion that I did not kill him. He stroked Sugriva's body with his hand, and lo, it became as hard and adamant, and all his pain was gone. He put on his neck a wreath of flowers, and giving him enormous strength, set him back. Again, the two brothers fought in many ways, while the Lord of Raghus watched them from behind a tree. When Sugriva tried many a trick and had exerted all his might, he lost heart and felt much alarmed. Sri Rama then drew his arrow and shot Vali in the heart. Struck by the shaft, Vali fell to the ground, smarting with pain. Again he sprang up and sat, when he saw the Lord before him, dark of hue, with his matted hair coiled on his head, bloodshot eyes and the bow still drawn. Gazing on him again and again, he fixed his heart on his feet. Now that he recognized the Lord, he felt that he had realized the reward of his birth. Although his heart was full of love, the words on his lips were harsh. Looking towards Sri Rama, he said, "Even though, my Lord, you descended on earth for upholding righteousness, you have killed me as a hunter would. I, your enemy, and Sugriva, your dear friend. For what fault did you take my life, my Lord? Listen, O wretch, a younger brother's wife, a sister, a daughter-in-law, and one's own daughter, those four are alike. One would incur no sin in killing him who looks upon these with an evil eye. Fool, in your extravagant pride, you paid no heed to your wife's warning. You knew that your brother had taken refuge under the might of my arm, and yet in your vile arrogance you sought to kill him. Listen, Rama, my shrewdness cannot avail against my master. But my Lord, am I a sinner yet, even though I have found shelter in you at the hour of my death?" When Sri Rama heard this most tender speech of Vali, he stroked his head with his hand. "I make your body immortal, you may keep up with your life." Said Vali, "Listen, O ocean of mercy. Sages continue their efforts for God realization during successive births, but at the last moment they fail to utter the name Rama. But he, on the strength of whose name Lord Shankara bestows immortality on all alike, has appeared in a visible form before my eyes. Shall I ever get such a golden opportunity again? He has appeared before my very eyes, whose praises the Vedas ever sing only in negative terms, and whom sages are scarcely able to perceive in their meditation, even after they have controlled their breath and mind, and freed their senses from passion. Knowing me to be a victim of excessive pride, the Lord said to me, 'Preserve your life.' But who could be such a fool as to insist on cutting down a celestial tree and using it as a fence to protect an acacia tree? Now, my Lord, look upon me with compassion and grant me the boon that I ask. Whatever species of life it may be my fate to be born, I may continue to love Sri Rama, your feet. This son of mine, Angada by name, is equal in my humility and strength. O bestower of blessedness, therefore, accept him, my master, and holding him by the arm, O Lord of gods and men, treat him as your servant." Intensifying his devotion to Sri Rama's feet, Vali dropped his body without his even knowing it, even as an elephant little knows the falling of a wreath of flowers from its neck. Sri Rama sent away Vali to his own abode. All the people in the city ran in dismay. With disheveled hair and a tottering frame, Tara, Vali's wife, wailed in many ways. When the Lord of Raghu saw her distress, he imparted to her wisdom and dispelled her delusion. Made up of the 5 elements, earth, water, fire, ether, and air, this body is extremely vile. The mortal frame lies buried in eternal sleep before your eyes, while the soul is everlasting. For whom then do you lament? The light of wisdom dawned on her, and she now embraced his feet and asked him the boon of supreme devotion. "The almighty Sri Rama, O Uma," says Bhagavan Shankara, "makes us all dance like so many marionettes." Sri Rama then gave orders to Sugriva, who performed all the funeral rites with due ceremony. He next instructed his younger brother Lakshmana, "Go and crown Sugriva as the king." Bowing their head to the Lord of Raghus, all left in obedience to his orders. Lakshmana immediately summoned the citizens and the Brahmanas, and in their presence crowned Sugriva as the king and installed Angada as the crown prince. Uma, there is no such friend as Sri Rama in this world, neither preceptor, nor father, nor mother, nor brother, nor master. Gods, men, and sages, all as a rule, have some selfish motive behind their love. The same Sugriva who trembled day and night in fear of Vali, who had many a sore on his body and whose breast ever burnt with the fire of anxiety, was made the king of monkeys. The hero of Raghu's line is extremely compassionate by nature. No wonder that men who knowingly abandon such a lord should be caught in the meshes of calamity. The Lord then sent for Sugriva and instructed him in the various principles of statecraft. Said the Lord, "Listen, O Sugriva, lord of the monkeys. I may not enter a town for 4 years and 10. The hot season is now over and the rains have set in. I will therefore encamp on the hills not far from you. You and Angada rule over the kingdom and ever cherish my business in your heart." When Sugriva returned home, Sri Rama took up his abode on the Pravashana hills. The gods had already kept ready for him a charming cave in the mountain in the hope that the all-merciful Sri Rama would come and stay there for some time. The lovely forest, rich in flowers, presented a most splendid sight with its swarms of bees humming greed of honey. Delightful bulbs, roots, fruits, and leaves grew in abundance from the time the Lord came there. Seeing the mountain incomparable in its charms, Sri Rama, the suzerain lord of gods, stayed there with his younger brother. Taking the form of bees, birds, and beasts, gods, siddhas, and hermits did service to the Lord. The forest became a picture of felicity from the time Sri Rama, the lord of Lakshmi, the goddess of prosperity, took up his residence there. There was a delightful and glistening rock of crystal on which the two brothers sat at ease. Sri Rama gave a discourse to his younger brother on many a topic such as devotion, dispassion, statecraft, and spiritual wisdom. As the rains had set in, the sky was overcast with clouds and made a delightful rumbling noise. "Look here, Lakshmana, the peacocks dance at the side of the clouds, even as a householder, having a leaning towards dispassion, would rejoice to see a devotee of Bhagavan Vishnu. The roaming clouds are terribly thundering in the sky. Bereft as I am of my darling Sita, my heart trembles to see all this. The lightning flashes fitfully amid the clouds like the friendship of the wicked never endures. The pouring clouds cleave close to the ground, and even as the learned stoop beneath accumulated lore, the mountains endure the buffering of showers, even as a saint would put up with the taunts of the wicked. The swelling streamlets rush with great speed, just as the wicked would feel elated even with a small fortune. The water becomes turbid in the moment it descends on earth, even as the jiva, an embodied soul, is enveloped in maya as soon as it's born. The water coming from various directions gathers in a pool even as commendable virtues find their way into the heart of a noble soul. The water of the stream becomes still once it enters into the ocean, just as the ego finds eternal rest on attaining union with Sri Hari. The green earth is so choked with grass that track cannot be distinguished, just as holy books are obscured by heretic doctrines. Of all sides, one hears the delightful croaking of frogs, which reminds one of a batch of religious students chanting the Vedas. Clothed with new leaves, the trees of different species look as green and cheerful as the mind of a striving soul who has attained spiritual wisdom. The leaves of the aka and javasa plants have fallen off, even as under a good government the plans of the wicked come to naught. Dust cannot be found even if one searches for it, just as piety is scared away by anger. The earth, rich with crops, appears delightful as the wreath of a generous man. In the thick darkness of the night, fireflies gleam like a mustard band of hypocrites. The embankments of the fields have been breached by torrential rains, just as women get spoiled by freedom. Clever farmers weed out the grass from their crops, just as the wise discard infatuation. vanity and pride. The Chakravaka birds are no more to be seen, just as virtue disappears with the Kali age. Even though it rains on the barren lands as well, not a blade of grass sprouts on it, just as conspicuousness takes no root in the heart of a servant of Sri Hari. The earth looks charming with the swarms of various living creatures even as the population grows under a good government. Many a weary traveler stopped here and there, just as with the dawning of wisdom the senses become still. Sometimes a strong wind would blow and disperse the clouds in various directions. Just as the birth of an unworthy son, the noble traditions of a family get extinct. Now it becomes pitch dark even during the day, while at other times the sun would shine brightly, just as the light of wisdom is obscured in the company of the vile and manifests itself in the company of the good. Look here, Lakshmana. The rains are over now, and the most charming autumn has arrived. The whole earth is covered by the kasha grass, and its white flowers, as if the rainy season has exposed its old age. The constellation known by the name of Agastya, Canopus, has appeared and dried up the water on the roads, even as contentment swallows greed. The limpid water of the rivers and lakes looks charming as a saint's heart devoid of pride and infatuation. Slowly but gradually, the water of the streams and lakes is drying up, even as the wise shake off the possessive instinct. Knowing that the autumn had set in, the Kanjana bird has made its appearance, just as the welcome fruit of one's meritorious deeds appears at the appointed time, neither sooner nor later. Devoid of mud and dust, the earth has assumed a lovely aspect, just like the administration of a monarch well versed in politics. The fish are distressed on account of the diminishing waters, even as an improvident householder is suffering from want of money. The cloudless sky is shining as bright as a devotee of Sri Hari, who has abandoned all desires. Here and there we have light autumnal showers, just as a rare soul comes to develop devotion to me. Kings and ascetics, merchants and mendicants are gladly leaving the city. Kings for extending their dominions, ascetics in search of a suitable place for practicing penance, merchants for carrying on their trade, and mendicants for begging alms. Just as men in any of the four stages of life cease to toil for perfection once they have acquired devotion to Sri Hari. In deep waters, the fish are as happy as ever, just as those who have taken refuge in Sri Hari, myself, never fall into trouble of any kind. With full-blown lotuses, the lake appears as charming as when the absolute Brahma appears with form. The bees are making a humming sound which possesses a unique melody of its own, and the birds a charming concert of diverse sounds. The Chakravaka bird is sad at heart to see the night, just as a villain is grieved at the sight of another's fortune. The Chataka cries out in agony of excessive thirst, just as an enemy of Shankara knows no rest. The moon by night relieves the heat of the autumnal sun, just as the sight of a holy man drives away sin. Flocks of chakora birds fix their gaze on the moon as soon as she comes to their view, even as the votaries of Sri Hari on meeting him. Mosquitoes and gadflies have perished due to fear of cold, just as hostility to the Brahmanas brings ruin to the entire family. The insects that teemed on the earth have perished with the advent of autumn, just as a man who has found a teacher in the real sense of the term is rid of all doubt and error. The rains are over, and the autumn, which is marked by a cloudless sky and limpid waters, has arrived. Yet, dear brother, we have received no news about Sita. If only once I could anyhow come to know of her whereabouts, I would recover her out of the hands of even death himself. Wherever she may be, if only she is still alive, I would make an effort to rescue her, dear brother. Sugriva too has forgotten me now, that he has got a kingdom, a treasury, the amenities of city life, and his own spouse. I will shoot the fool tomorrow with the same arrow I used in killing Mali, says Shankara. He whose very grace rids one of pride and infatuation. Could he ever dream of being angry, Uma? Those enlightened sages alone have conceived a love for the feet of Sri Rama, the hero of Raghu's race, can know the inwardness of the conduct of his. When Lakshmana found the Lord angry, he strung his bow and took arrows in his hands. The Lord of Raghu's, who was the highest limit of compassion, then instructed his younger brother, saying, Sugriva is our friend, dear brother. You should only frighten him and bring him here. ma ba ma ma re re sa sa re ba ma ma re sa re ma pa re sa re ma ma re sa 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 do do ku ga la nan paradana mula kora kono rola madi karaga paniki kanu punim bati tigi nadi do do ku ga la nan ni pa ma pa ni re ma pa ni pa ni sa re ma pa ni sa ni pa ma ma re sa sa do do ku ga la nan Tanamadeni Bhuvini Saukya Puji Maname Yanuchu Sadani Namulu Ganibe Duduku Gala Dere papa dere mama satare re pani sare pa mama re sa sa ni pa ma pa ni pa ni sa re ma re sa ni sa re ma re re sa ni re sa sa ni pa sa ni pa ma re ni pa ma re sa do do ku ga la nan Deliani Nadavita Chodrulo Anidanu Savasha Moda Kupada Sinti Santa Silli Swadalayam Nenunga Kanu Sila Tune Subatula Kusamana Manu Duku Gala Sari sa sa sari sari gama ni pama ni pama sani pama re sa sa pa sani pa re sani pa sani pama mama re sa 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 sani pama re sa o gala nan दृष्टि की सारम बकुललना सदनार बकसेना निदनना धुलनु देवाने दे वाने ने नम्मिति निगकनु पदा जब जनम मुमरचिन दुडुकु गला Papa mare sare ma pa mare sare re ma sare ma re sare ga ma re ni sare sa sa pa ma re sa sa ni ba ba pa sa ni ba pa ma re ma pa ni ba sa ni ba ni re ma sa re ma ni sa ni pa ni sa di sa ni ba ma re ma pa ni ba pa ma re sa do do ku ga la Chakani Muga Kamanam Munanu Sadana Madino Smarana Lekane Dharmadanda Januna Gori Paridam Pamuna Cheta Gili Nogini Nure Chaya Duna Sanan Roya Leka Sadagama Paradine Chapala Chitu Daina Duduku Gala Sari sani sari re sani sari mama sari ma re ma sari sa 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 pa ba ma re sari ma pa re ma re ma ma re pa ma re ma sari ma re sa 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 pa ni ba ma re pa ma re ma pa ni sa re ma pa ni ba ma re sa 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 ni ma sa ni sa ni pa ni sa ni pa ma re sa do do ku ga la Manavatanu Dulabha Manuju Nandi Paramananda Munda Deka Manamatsara Kamaloba Mohuna Kula Sude Mosa Bodhigaka Mudadi Kula Joda Kochu Buvinci Rudruda Panunu Salpuchunundi Kaka Narada Mulanu Kori Sada Hina Madamula Usadam Paru Daru Maru Dudu Kugalanan Nedora Kodu Kubro Ram Ayando Duduku Gala Nandedora Oduku Prochura Satula Kai Kunnala Stikai Sutula Kai Kunnalu Tanam Tanula Kai Tirigiti Naya Tyagara Japtai Tumanti Tuduku Gananedora Oduku Brochura Hayanto Duduku Gala Nanedora Oduku Brochura. This was Duduku Gala, a composition of Saint Tyagaraja, one of the Pancharatna or 5 gem kritis in praise of Sri Rama. After the first kriti, where Saint Tyagaraja expounds the virtues of Lord Ram, Saint Tyagaraja realizes that he is such a sinner. So he says, O Rama, I have unabashedly committed many sins. Who in this world will rescue me? Every moment I was slave to evil doings. I did not understand your omnipresence in this world. I did not take the path of devotion. I praised others to covet wealth and earn my livelihood. I was foolishly happy, thinking that all is worldly and happiness. I attracted the common folk and also had casual relationships by my speech. While doing so, I thought I'm equal to the greatest musicians and greatest people of virtue. I was steeped in pride. I thought that land, property, wealth, servants are permanent. I forgot to worship and pray at God's lotus feet. God's face did not dwell in my mind. I sought egoistic people. I did not shun evil thoughts. I was tormented by them. I forgot to appreciate the great value of having got this great opportunity of human birth. I was slave to sensual desire and other evil thoughts. I did things that are not befitting of my social stature and class. Whoever will rescue me? This kriti is putting himself, as putting the singer as well as Saint Tyagaraja himself as a place of a sinner fully owning his sins.